You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. Those words hold a powerful truth. Anger doesn't wait for karma. It does its damage the moment we let it take control. It clouds our judgment, burns our energy, and wrecks relationships. And more often than not, the person who suffers the most is us. Think about it. One sharp comment, one careless driver, one missed deadline, and suddenly your entire day is hijacked. The tension spreads through your shoulders, your voice tightens, and your thoughts spiral. But here's the thing. Anger doesn't happen because the world is out of control. It happens because we haven't learned how to stay in control when the world tests us. Today, I'm going to walk you through the art of never getting angry, not through denial or fake positivity, but by developing emotional strength, clarity, and presence. We'll explore the principles that will help you turn frustration into fuel, learn from setbacks, and choose calm, even when everything around you feels chaotic. This isn't about being passive or letting people walk all over you. This is about reclaiming your power. The kind of power that shows up in how you respond when life doesn't go your way. Because the truth is, when you master your response, you master your reality. Stay with me for the next few minutes as I show you how. Let's dive in. Number 1, flow with life, not against it. Most of the anger we experience doesn't come from the event itself. It comes from our resistance to it. We want life to follow our plans, people to meet our expectations, and every little detail to fall into place exactly as we imagined. But life doesn't work that way. It moves on its own current, full of detours, delays, and surprises. And the more we try to control everything, the more frustration builds. Learning to flow with life doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go of the illusion that you can control every outcome. When you resist what is, you suffer. When you accept what is and adapt, you grow. Take Bruce Lee, the martial arts legend and philosopher. He famously said, "Be like water." To him, water represented flexibility, strength, and calm. It can crash, but it can also flow. And most importantly, it adapts to whatever it touches, always adjusting, never forcing. Bruce built his entire philosophy and his personal power on this idea. When we live with rigidity, every unexpected twist becomes an enemy. The train delay, the miscommunication, the canceled plans, they all feel like personal attacks. But when we embrace the flow, we learn to adjust instead of explode. We find calm in the current. Here's how you begin. Next time something doesn't go your way, pause. Ask yourself, what's in my control? Then focus only on that. You'll be surprised how much lighter life feels when you stop trying to control what you never could. You don't have to love every challenge, but you can learn to stop fighting the ones you can't change. When you start flowing with life, not against it, anger loses its grip, and peace becomes something you carry with you, no matter what the day throws your way. Number 2, put down the pointing finger. One of the fastest ways to drain your peace is to live your life pointing fingers, blaming others for your stress, your setbacks, and your emotions. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when your coworker drops the ball, when your plans fall through, it's easy to say, "They ruined my day." But here's the truth. They didn't ruin anything. You gave them the power to them. Blame feels satisfying in the moment. It gives us a target for our frustration. But the more we blame, the less responsibility we take. And the less responsibility we take, the more powerless we become. If your peace depends on everyone else doing everything right, you're setting yourself up for a life of constant irritation. Let me tell you about Jason, a restaurant manager from Atlanta. He used to be the kind of leader who blamed everyone. If a customer complained, he blamed the servers. If the kitchen ran late, he blamed the chefs. If the sales were down, he blamed the economy. His team feared him, resented him, and worst of all, they stopped trying. Why? Because nothing was ever enough, and nothing was ever his responsibility. One night, after a tense shift and a near breakdown in the staff room, Jason had a moment of clarity. He realized his team wasn't the problem. He was. Not because he made mistakes, but because he refused to own them. That week, he made a decision: no more blaming. Instead of pointing fingers, he started asking, "How can I help fix this?" His team noticed, morale shifted. Even the customers picked up on it. The more he owned, the more control he gained. And slowly, his anger started to fade. There's real power in putting down the pointing finger. Because every time you blame, you give away a little piece of your emotional control. But every time you take ownership, even when it's not 100% your fault, you take that power back. Next time you feel the urge to blame someone for your bad mood, try this. Pause and ask, what can I do right now to improve this? That one question can change your entire posture, from reactive to responsible. When you stop pointing and start owning, you'll find something surprising. The world becomes less aggravating. Not because people changed, but because you did. And in the art of never getting angry, that shift is everything. Number 3. Refuse to catch their fire. Some people carry anger with them like a torch, lighting up every room with their frustration, their bitterness, their mood. And if you're not careful, they'll hand that flame to you. You'll find yourself burning with emotion that wasn't even yours to begin with. That's the danger of reactive living. You become a mirror for everyone else's chaos. But here's the truth. Just because someone else is on fire doesn't mean you need to burn with them. You can't control how others act. You can control whether or not you absorb their emotions. And the moment you realize that, you start protecting your energy instead of leaking it. Let's talk about Helen Keller. Most people know her as the deaf-blind woman who became an author, speaker, and symbol of perseverance. But fewer realize how many people projected doubt, ridicule, and even anger toward her success. She was mocked by critics, dismissed by institutions, and underestimated at every turn. Yet she didn't spend her life arguing, proving people wrong with rage, or retaliating with bitterness. Instead, she focused her energy inward toward growth, learning, and influence. She refused to carry the fire others tried to throw at her. That's strength. It takes self-awareness to know when you're being pulled into someone else's storm. Sometimes it's a family member's sharp words. Sometimes it's a coworker's bad mood. Sometimes it's a stranger's rude comment. You feel that flash of tension and think, why did they say that? But the better question is, why am I giving it power? Here's how you refuse to catch someone else's fire. First, pause, breathe, remind yourself. Their reaction is not my responsibility. You don't need to fix it. You don't need to fight it. Let them carry their own flame. You've got peace to protect. Second, imagine emotions like packages. Someone hands you a box of anger. You can choose to take it, or you can let it drop to the ground. Not everything handed to you must be accepted. And third, shift your focus. Instead of replaying the comment, focus on your values. Who do you want to be in this moment? Someone who mirrors anger, or someone who leads with clarity? You'll never run out of angry people. But the moment you stop catching their fire, you become something rare, calm in the heat. And that's where true power lives. Number 4, let go or be dragged. Anger has a sneaky way of chaining itself to your past. Something goes wrong. A betrayal, an insult, a failure, and instead of moving forward, you replay it over and over. You carry it around like a badge, thinking it gives you strength. But really, it's just weight. And if you don't let go, you don't move. You just drag it into every conversation, every decision, every quiet moment. Here's the truth. Holding on doesn't protect you, it punishes you. Imagine trying to climb a mountain with a backpack full of rocks. Every grudge, every unresolved memory, every "they shouldn't have done that" is just one more stone you're carrying uphill. At first, you think you can manage it. But over time, it wears you down. You lose energy. You lose momentum. And worst of all, you lose peace. Let me tell you about Marissa, a graphic designer from Denver. Her sister betrayed her trust by sharing something personal with others. It hurt deeply. For months, Marissa stewed in that betrayal. She'd wake up angry. She'd rehearse comebacks in her head. Even during happy moments, the resentment lingered like a shadow. Then one day, during a therapy session, her counselor asked her a simple question. Is this anger helping you heal or keeping you stuck? Marissa paused. For the first time, she realized that she wasn't holding a grudge. The grudge was holding her. That day, she made a decision, not to excuse the betrayal, but to release the grip it had on her life. Slowly, she began to feel lighter, freer, more alive. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen. It means you're choosing freedom over fixation. It's saying, yes, it hurt, but no, it doesn't own me anymore. Here's how to start. Acknowledge the wound. Write about it. Talk about it. Feel it. Then make a conscious decision to stop feeding it. Every time your mind returns to that moment, gently redirect it. I've already lived through that. I don't need to live it again. You'll be amazed at how much peace returns when you drop just one heavy thought you've been carrying for too long. Because in the art of never getting angry, letting go isn't weakness, it's wisdom. You either let go or you get dragged. The choice is yours. Number 5, lower expectations. Lift peace. If you want to invite less anger into your life, start by adjusting what you expect from it. A big source of daily frustration doesn't come from what happens. It comes from the gap between what we expected and what we got. That delay, that disagreement, that imperfect reply. They hurt more when we've already decided how things should be. We build quiet expectations all the time. We expect our friends to text us back immediately. We expect our spouse to know what we're thinking. We expect perfect service, perfect days, perfect outcomes. And when reality falls short, which it always does, we don't just feel surprise, we feel personal offense. We say things like, how could they? Or this shouldn't be happening. But life rarely lives up to a script we wrote in our head. Fred Rogers, beloved television host and quiet wisdom giver, had a gift for accepting people as they were, flaws and all. He didn't demand perfection from the world. Instead, he approached every interaction with gentle curiosity and grace. That's why people felt safe around him. He expected difficulty. He prepared for misunderstanding. And that's why he could meet even the most awkward or tense moment with a calm presence. Now contrast that with someone who expects everything to go right all the time. Their coffee order is wrong, instant irritation. Their partner forgets a detail, instant blame. Their coworker makes a mistake, instant anger. But it's not the situation that causes the anger. It's the unrealistic expectation behind it. Here's a truth that brings peace. Most people are not trying to upset you. They're just being human. And humans forget, get distracted, miscommunicate, and make mistakes. So instead of saying, they should have done better, start thinking, what can I do to stay calm when they don't? Try this before entering a situation. Lower your expectations and raise your flexibility. Going to a meeting, expect delays. Hosting a dinner, expect imperfections. Calling a friend, expect interruptions. Not because you're being negative, but because you're being prepared. And when something goes smoother than expected, be pleasantly surprised. That's the joy of releasing control. When you stop demanding perfection, you start appreciating progress. Lower expectations aren't about settling for less. They're about making space for peace, patience, and presence. In the art of never getting angry, it's one of your most powerful tools. Expect less from the world, and you'll have more energy to enjoy it. Number 6, breathe before you burst. We've all felt that moment. The heat rising in your chest, your jaw tightening, your fists clenching, you're 1 second away from snapping. And in that moment, all logic seems to disappear. You say something sharp, maybe slam a door, maybe fire off a message you'll regret 5 minutes later. It's not because you're a bad person. It's because you didn't pause. That pause, those 2 or 3 seconds between trigger and reaction, can be the difference between peace and a problem. Anger rushes in like a wave, but breathing is the anchor that keeps you grounded. Let's talk about Eric, a senior team leader at a fast-paced marketing firm in Chicago. Eric was respected for his creative work, but he had a serious temper. If a team member missed a deadline or misunderstood an instruction, he'd snap, emails in all caps, sarcasm in meetings, icy silence in the hallway. Turnover in his department was high. People worked in fear. One day, his director gave him a quiet warning. Your results are excellent, but your reactions are pushing people away. Eric didn't want to admit it, but he knew it was true. So he tried something simple. Every time he felt anger coming on, he forced himself to take 5 deep breaths before responding. Not just a quick inhale, but intentional, focused breathing. In, hold, out again. At first it felt silly, but slowly he noticed something. Those breaths gave him space. Space to think, to ask questions instead of accuse, to consider solutions instead of vent frustrations. The tone of his team shifted, communication improved, and most importantly, he felt more in control, not just at work, but at home, in traffic, even during conflict. Your breath is a built-in reset button. It interrupts the spiral of reaction. It tells your nervous system, I'm safe, I'm okay, I can handle this. And that one act of control often prevents 10 acts of regret. So next time you're triggered, remember, you don't need to solve everything in that moment. You just need to pause, breathe, let the emotions settle before you act. You don't need to burst to be heard. You don't need to rage to be strong. You just need to slow down long enough to lead your emotions instead of being led by them. In the art of never getting angry, your breath isn't just air, it's power. Use it before the moment controls you, and watch how quickly your calm becomes your strength. Number 7, forgive to set yourself free. Forgiveness isn't about excusing someone's behavior. It's not about pretending it didn't hurt or giving someone a free pass. Forgiveness is about freedom, yours, because when you refuse to forgive, you're not holding them captive, you're holding yourself. Anger that lingers from betrayal, criticism, or disappointment doesn't just sit quietly in the background, it simmers. It seeps into your thoughts, your tone, your posture. It tightens your chest, narrows your perspective, and eats away at your peace, day after day. Let me share the story of Maya Angelou, renowned poet, author, and activist. Maya's early life was marked by trauma, injustice, and profound pain. She had every reason to live in anger, but instead she chose healing. Not because the past was easy to forget, but because she knew her future couldn't thrive while chained to bitterness. Through her work and her words, she spoke not from rage, but from resilience. She once said, "It's one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself, to forgive. Forgive everybody." That may sound idealistic, but it's deeply practical. You forgive not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Holding on to what they did keeps you emotionally tied to them. And why give your peace to someone who already took enough from you? Here's the truth. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It doesn't mean pretending you're fine. It means choosing not to let their actions define your future. It's saying, I may never get an apology, but I refuse to stay stuck. Try this. Think of someone who hurt you, someone whose actions still occupy your thoughts. Then write a letter to them. Say everything you've wanted to say, but don't send it. This is for you. Then tear it up or burn it. That act alone is powerful. It tells your mind and heart, I'm releasing this weight. Another step, shift your focus from what they did to what you've gained since. Maybe the pain taught you boundaries. Maybe it made you stronger, wiser, or more compassionate. Pain can shape you, but you decide what it shapes you into. And remember, forgiveness is a process, not a moment. Some wounds take time. Be patient with yourself. The point isn't to forget. The point is to stop bleeding. In the art of never getting angry, forgiveness is your release valve. It untangles your heart from the past and makes space for peace. When you forgive, you don't lose power. You take it back. One breath, one decision at a time. Number 8. Reframe the bad moment. Sometimes it's not the situation that causes anger. It's the story we tell ourselves about it. The human mind is wired to fill in the blanks, to assign meaning, and often to assume the worst. A canceled meeting becomes, they don't respect me. A short reply becomes, they're angry with me. A mistake becomes, I'm a failure. But what if that story is wrong? What if the meaning you've assigned is actually what's making you angry, not the event itself? Reframing is the powerful habit of changing your perspective without changing the facts. It's not about denial or fake positivity. It's about choosing a story that serves you, not hurts you. Let me tell you about Tina, a young entrepreneur from Oregon. She had planned the perfect pitch for a group of investors, months of work, hours of practice. But on the day of her big presentation, her flight was canceled due to a snowstorm. She was devastated. All she could think was, I've blown my one shot. For hours, she sat in the airport, stewing in frustration and self-pity. But then something shifted. Instead of replaying the disappointment, she asked herself, is there anything good I can get out of this? She pulled out her laptop, reviewed her pitch, improved her visuals, and even came up with a new hook. She arrived a day later, calmer, more confident, and sharper. The investors were impressed. She got the deal. And to this day, she credits that delay for her breakthrough. It all started with a question, how else can I see this? That's the power of reframing. You can turn an interruption into an opportunity, a conflict into a lesson, a failure into a setup for growth. It's not always easy, especially in the heat of the moment. But even a small shift in perspective can lower your anger and raise your clarity. Here's how you can practice it. Next time you feel triggered, pause and ask, is there another way to interpret this? What else might be going on? What if it's not about you? What if there's a hidden benefit? Even if the answer doesn't change the situation, it changes your relationship to it. And that changes everything. In the art of never getting angry, reframing is a quiet superpower. It takes you out of victim mode and puts you back in control. Life won't always hand you good moments, but with practice, you can find the good in almost any moment. Number 9, be your inner ally, not your critic. One of the most overlooked sources of anger is the voice inside your own head. The one that whispers, you messed up again. The one that says, you're not good enough. You should have known better. You may brush it off, thinking it keeps you sharp or disciplined. But here's the reality. Constant self-criticism doesn't build strength. It builds pressure, and eventually, that pressure erupts. Not just at yourself, but at others. Anger toward others often starts with hidden anger toward ourselves. When you're already beating yourself up, it doesn't take much for someone else's mistake or comment to push you over the edge. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest athletes in history, was known for his competitive fire, but also for his inner discipline. He didn't avoid mistakes. He missed thousands of shots, lost games, got cut from his high school team. But he didn't sit there calling himself worthless. He learned, he adapted. He built a mindset of improvement, not punishment. His inner voice didn't shame him. It sharpened him. Ask yourself, would you talk to your best friend the way you talk to yourself after a mistake? Would you say, you always ruin everything, or you're such a failure? Of course not. You'd offer perspective, encouragement, compassion. So why not offer that to yourself? Try this. The next time you catch yourself spiraling in self-criticism, stop and rephrase it. Instead of saying, I can't believe I did that, try, I'm learning, I'll get better next time. That simple shift softens the emotion and strengthens your resolve. Also, start keeping a wins list. Each night, jot down 3 things you did well, no matter how small. It might be that you kept calm in traffic, finished a task on time, or responded kindly when you could have snapped. These small victories remind you that you're growing, and that self-recognition builds resilience from the inside out. When you become your own ally, you're less shaken by criticism, less reactive to stress, and far more stable in conflict. You stop demanding perfection from yourself, and in turn, you stop projecting that demand onto everyone else. In the art of never getting angry, how you treat yourself matters. Because if your inner world is full of tension, your outer world will reflect it. But if it's full of grace, patience, and strength, then peace isn't just something you seek, it becomes something you radiate. Be kind in the mirror, and you'll be calmer in the world. Number 10. Choose gratitude under pressure. Anger often thrives in moments when we focus on what's missing, what's unfair, or what went wrong. But there's one simple habit that can disarm anger in real time. Gratitude, not the grand, sweeping kind, where you need something miraculous to be thankful. I'm talking about the quiet, daily kind. The kind that turns "why me" into "I'm still lucky" in many ways. You see, when your mind is locked on what you lack, every inconvenience feels bigger. The bad driver, the slow internet, the cold coffee, all of it adds up. And you find yourself snapping over things that in the big picture don't even matter. But when you build the habit of gratitude, your perspective shifts. You stop obsessing over what's wrong and start noticing what's still right. Let me tell you about Luis, a warehouse worker in Austin. His job was physically demanding, underpaid, and full of daily stress. And for a long time, he lived with a simmering anger at his manager, at the system, at his circumstances. But then, during a health scare, something clicked. Lying in a hospital bed for a week gave him time to reflect. He realized he had been blind to the simple things. The fact that his legs worked, that he had a son who hugged him every morning, that he had another day to try. When he returned to work, nothing had changed, but he had. Every morning before his shift, he wrote down 3 things he was grateful for. Some days, it was his lunch. Some days, just clean air. But slowly, the anger faded. He still faced challenges, but he carried something stronger than frustration. He carried perspective. Gratitude isn't a trick, it's a shift in attention. It doesn't ignore the bad, but it makes room for the good. And in that space, anger loses its grip. Here's how you can practice it. When you feel frustration bubbling up, pause and name one thing, just one, you're grateful for in that moment. Your breath, your health, a friend, a lesson learned. This tiny redirect lowers the emotional volume and reminds you, I still have something good. Before bed, jot down 3 wins or moments of peace from the day. Even on rough days, there's always something. If you look for it, in the art of never getting angry, gratitude is your armor. When you train your mind to see the light, the shadows don't feel so overwhelming. Choose gratitude, especially when it's hardest. That's when it works the most. Number 11. Build a calm core. Calm isn't just the absence of noise. It's the presence of strength. And in a world that constantly pokes, prods, and provokes you, calm has become a rare superpower. But here's something most people don't realize. Calm isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. Think of calm like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. The more you practice it during the small moments, the more available it is in the big ones. And when pressure hits, you're not reacting wildly. You're grounded, steady, present. One of the clearest examples of this is the Dalai Lama. For decades, he has faced political exile, public criticism, and constant spiritual pressure. Yet his presence is defined by stillness. His calm doesn't come from an easy life. It comes from inner discipline. Through meditation, reflection, and intentional breathing, he developed the ability to remain centered, no matter what chaos surrounds him. But you don't have to be a monk to build a calm core. Start simple. Choose one part of your day to slow down, whether it's your morning coffee, your commute, or your pre-bed routine. During that moment, focus on your breath. Inhale deeply, exhale slowly. Let your mind return to your body. That practice alone tells your nervous system, we're safe, we're steady, we're okay. Also, watch your tone, not just with others, but with yourself. Speak slower when tensions rise. Move slower when you feel rushed. Calm isn't about delay, it's about intention. And remember, calm doesn't mean silence. It doesn't mean becoming passive or indifferent. True calm allows you to respond with clarity instead of reaction, to address problems without becoming one, to lead instead of lash out. If someone insults you, calm allows you to pause instead of attack. If plans fall apart, calm gives you flexibility instead of fury. If life throws a storm, calm is your anchor. Over time, this inner stability becomes your default. You stop being a slave to mood swings and start becoming someone people can count on, even in chaos. In the art of never getting angry, building a calm core is essential. It's not about denying emotion, it's about directing it. When the world shakes, your strength will show in how still you can remain. Calm is not weakness, it is earned power. And the more you build it, the less the world can take from you. Number 12, respond, don't react. In life, you're going to be triggered. People will say things that offend you. Plans will fall apart. Disappointments will show up uninvited. That's not the problem. The real challenge is what happens in the few seconds after the trigger. Do you react or do you respond? There's a world of difference between the two. Reacting is automatic. It's emotional, fast, and often fueled by ego. Responding is intentional. It's thoughtful, measured, and rooted in clarity. One adds fuel to the fire. The other puts it out. Let me tell you about Samantha, a nurse in a busy hospital in North Carolina. She was known for her steady hands and sharp mind, but also for her short fuse. When patients were rude or coworkers slipped up, she reacted immediately. Her tone sharpened, her stress climbed, and the tension in her unit grew thicker every day. Then one morning, an elderly patient lashed out at her for being too slow. Samantha, exhausted and overwhelmed, opened her mouth to fire back, but something inside her hesitated. She closed her eyes, took a breath, and instead of reacting, she asked gently, "Are you okay?" The patient broke down in tears. He wasn't angry at her. He was in pain, scared, and didn't know how to ask for help. That moment changed everything for Samantha. She realized most people don't need a reaction. They need understanding. And more importantly, she needed peace more than the satisfaction of being right. From that day forward, she practiced pausing. When she felt anger rise, she asked herself, "What's the outcome I want from this?" That one question helped her switch from impulse to intention. Her relationships improved. Her work became more fulfilling, and she no longer felt emotionally hijacked every day. Here's how you can do the same. When something triggers you, pause. Take one full breath. Ask yourself, what response would reflect who I want to be right now? You don't have to answer perfectly. You just have to choose, rather than react on autopilot. Also, remember, silence is a response. Distance is a response. A kind question is a response. Not everything needs a counterattack. In the art of never getting angry, mastering your response is the final piece. Because it's not about avoiding emotion, it's about owning your power in the moments that matter most. Respond with purpose, and you'll begin to lead your life, not just survive it. Anger is easy. It's automatic. It shows up uninvited, fueled by stress, disappointment, and unmet expectations. But here's the truth. While anger may be natural, staying angry is a choice. And every time you choose to pause, to breathe, to shift your perspective, you're choosing something far more powerful than rage. You're choosing mastery. Over the last few minutes, we've walked through 12 timeless principles, tools to help you build emotional strength, protect your peace, and respond with intention rather than impulse. These aren't tricks to suppress your emotions. They're practices to elevate your life. Whether it's learning to flow with life, putting down the pointing finger, forgiving others, reframing tough moments, or choosing gratitude and pressure, you now hold a roadmap to a calmer, more grounded version of yourself. And no, this journey doesn't happen overnight. But here's the good news. You don't have to get it perfect. You just have to get better. One pause at a time, one breath at a time, one choice at a time. Think about how much lighter your days will feel when you stop reacting to every little frustration. Imagine how much stronger your relationships will become when you lead with patience, not tension. Picture a version of you that doesn't get pulled into every fire, but walks calmly through the storm. That version of you is possible. And it starts the moment you decide that anger no longer controls your life. You do. So the next time anger rises, remember you've got tools now. You've got perspective. You've got strength. Choose to pause. Choose to respond. Choose to lead. Because in the end, the real art of never getting angry isn't about what happens around you. It's about what you've built within you. And if you're still here, reading or listening, write it down in the comments or in your mind. I choose calm. That's your declaration. That's your power. Now go live it, one calm, strong step at a time.